Bounce back. Get back to your optimum level through practical methods and wisdom. Author, Adam's Fitness. Narrator, Adam's Fitness. May this book give you an opening to your full potential and stretch your body and mind to achieve great things. It's better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. Alan Watts. I wrote this upon my mental, physical, and spiritual journey, and still going through this journey right now because it never ends, which makes it all the worthwhile. In the last year, I experienced a bounce back, but prior to this, I lost a job. My relationship ended, making minimal amounts of money, lack of qualifications, and lack of direction. I said to myself, I can either sit here and die before I have even died, or do something about this. So I said yes to the right things, and started channeling my energy to chip away at the stones that blocked my path. I took on a marathon, studied an A-level, gained qualifications, learnt a language, developed my business, transformed my body, and wrote a book. These things I thought impossible to do in general, never mind the time frame, but I tested, practiced, and pushed, stretching the limits of my mind and body to places it has never been before. When you reach the other side of pain, and you look back to where you were, oh man, it is beautiful. Now, after all that, do I stop and stagnate? In order to thrive, I ask myself, what's next? We must bounce back. Introduction. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela. The bounce back. Are we literally talking about things bouncing, or is there a message we can learn from the title? The answer is yes, there is a message. You may be asking, what is this bounce back? What it will probably mean to most people, but, just to clarify, it is how to get back to good form from career lows, obstacles, breakups, and all kinds of things that are deemed as setbacks. The law of physics states there is an equal and opposite reaction, force. So the higher you are, the lower you can go, and the lower you are, the higher you can go. If you see it from this perspective, then every low point will reach a high point, and every high point will reach a low point, if not managed correctly. In this book, we will call the low point the fall-off. Yes, very dramatic, I know. But this is what will give you familiarity with the language and terms used in this book. How many times have you bounced a ball? My guess is many times. But how do you get that ball to go higher? You throw it as hard as you can into the ground. Then you watch that ball fly into the sky, and for a brief moment, you think it's not going to come down. Of course, the ball doesn't just stay up. It keeps bouncing until it finds a balance, and when there is no more energy left within that ball, it stops dead. Humans are slightly different than a ball, but similar concept can be used. We can fall off, and we can't physically see it all the time. Sometimes performance, statistics, friends and family will tell you if you're falling off, but we can't measure everything. Sometimes you know, sometimes you don't, and sometimes we ignore the fact that we fall off and don't do anything about it. But it will take some self-analysis to understand where you're at, which is the first step in the right direction. We fall off the balance point and the high point at certain moments in life. Let me explain a couple of things before we move on. The balance point is the maintenance of performance, and at a good rate that will get us through day by day with a marathon-like approach, most effective way. The high point is where you have hit milestones, for example, making lots of money, finishing projects, attending to many different things such as events, meetings, socials, and full of dopamine-releasing activities. Nothing wrong with the high point, but they do need to be managed well with level-headedness. Remember, the high point will always find a way back to the balance point, which is what you want, as this keeps you level-headed and at a better flow. To simplify it, we need to get to the high point to the balance point, maintenance of good habits and consistency. This is where you should aim to minimize excitement and control it better. Or the high point to low point, crash of energy, and enter the series of failures, addictions, bad habits, and setbacks.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?